Welcome back to Box of the Battlefield. Um, as you know, Dave and I are working on our projects for 2018, and mine is a King Tiger with Zimmern on it. I'm using the Tamiya King Tiger, and the product number for this King Tiger is 35164. And it's a kit. I don't know when it came out on the market, probably sometime in the 90s. I don't know 100%, nor does it bother me. It's a great kit for doing exactly what Dave and I enjoy doing, which is mostly painting. It's an easy assembly, but going one step further, I'm going to put Zimmern on mine. Attack Zimmern. I think that number is 35002, but double check on that. But I'm pretty sure it's... And there are a few King Tiger Zimmern packages for the Dragon, King Tiger, and the Tamiya. So make sure that you, moving forward on this, request that you want the Attack Zimmern for the Tamiya one. Now, as you guys remember, I was sanding it down last week and removing it from the carrier, the resin carrier. But now, just to apply the Zimmern, I use 5-minute epoxy. With a 5-minute epoxy, of course, it gives me a little wiggle room. I have, if you try this with CA glue, crazy glue, and what have you, what happens is you're putting yourself in a corner. There's no perimeters there. Once the glue gets onto this resin and then onto the model, it is where it is, and you can't adjust. And there's no need. If you use 5-minute epoxy, I mean, what's the rush? This is modeling time. We don't need to use CA glue. Now, having said that, there are going to be times when you're using Attack Zimmern and the edges aren't 100% down flat, and that sort of thing, and you can easily go back with CA glue and touch up the corners. Or if, say, you get it all primed and ready to paint and you notice a little sliver of a crack or what have you, don't hesitate to go in with your, your extra thick crazy glue and then fill in a crack. Now, my preference for that is going to be Mr. Servicer 500 or Mr. Servicer 1000, but I'll get into that once the Zimmern's on. I'll get into filling cracks and filling edges and all that sort of thing moving forward. So, but right now, all I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you guys how to take out some little scratches and little battle damage on Zimmern. And the advantage, of course, Dragon, as we all know, have these vehicles with Zimmern already applied factory fresh, right from the Dragon factory on their Panthers and what have you. That doesn't lend itself very easily to battle damage Zimmern. So when choosing, and also too, so this is a brand new Panther on the market, and Ming has brought out Zimmern pattern sheets. There's 4 in the series. You can just pick and choose depending on where you want to go with this Panther. You can use these sheets, and undoubtedly moving forward into 2018, possibly Attack Zimmern might even do a sheet. I haven't explored battle damage on these sheets yet. Maybe it's something that I'll have ready for next time. I can't count on that. I haven't used these sheets before, so I don't know a lot about them. But anyway, moving forward with this is a great idea, and Attack Zimmern possibly will bring out a sheet for this as well. So anyway, that's that product. That's that Panther. And just remember that this Panther should have Zimmern on it. I looked through my photographic references, and I have yet to see a Panther A without Zimmern. So do a little homework, do your studies with your books, but I think you'll find that that's pretty much a Zimmern tank, full stop. You can do obviously the G, especially later in the war, without Zimmern, but that particular Panther I'm pretty sure requires Zimmern. So look for your Zimmerits, Attack or different companies, and of course Ming has those beautiful sheets in 4 different styles. So once you remove your actual sheet, and this is fragile, we're not here to monkey around with this. The less handling the better. But what you want to do to create battle damage is take an X-Acto knife like so, and replace the normal number 11 blade with a little shorter one. You'll just have a little bit more control when attacking it. So basically, I put down a hard surface. You can use a ceramic tile. I use this plate from a microwave just because it's very thick glass. And I just sit there and poke away at this Zimmern with very small little strokes, maybe a 1/8 of an inch, and I just follow the patterns. I'm sort of guided by the Zimmern pattern itself with my knife, which is fine. And I almost use the like cross hatching with my X-Acto knife on top of the Zimmern. So it's almost like cross hatching, and I'm just using the tip of the blade here. Now Zimmern is designed in real life that if it takes a little bit of a hit from a small caliber strike, it doesn't slide off the edge of the tank. And fortunately, Attack Zimmern has the same characteristics. And I just sort of follow the Zimmern pattern, which is basically up and down. And then, like I say, use a small X-Acto knife. It's much better than a number 11. You get way more control with this blade than. So there's a little pattern there, a little bit of battle damage, and I'm not going to put any more battle damage than what I've shown here. It's just enough. For one reason is that underneath the Zimmern, of course, these tanks were primered, and they used a red primer, the Germans did, and I don't want suddenly my King Tiger to be polka dotted with these little red patches. I just don't find it that attractive. Now when I get to the other side, because this side is going to be used on the right side, when I get to the left side of the turret, I'm going to have a big patch worn away here, and I'm going to have some shell hits. And moving forward at our next visit, I'm going to be putting those shell hits in. But right now I'm just going to show you how to apply the Zimmern on this side. And basically I'm going to make sure that it fits, which I've already studied that. Attack Zimmern is pretty accurate when it comes to fitting. That's why you don't want to use a Dragon sheet on a Tamiya kit. These are designed to fit a particular item. So, and as you can see, it fits perfect. So what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of 5-minute epoxy here, and then roll it forward around the turret. So just bear with me. I'm going to mix the epoxy, and then I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so in the case here, I put this 5-minute epoxy, and I like 5-minute epoxy. Like I said, I have a little bit of time to play. Position our Zimmern where it needs to be. Just have to be aware of where I've created the battle damage so that there's no epoxy underneath there. And one of the other products you're going to need is a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Believe it or not, rubbing alcohol cleans up 5-minute epoxy. So when I apply this, it's going to squeeze out and ooze out the edges. It's typical of 5-minute epoxy. But rubbing alcohol will take it away, clean it right up again. So don't worry about it oozing out the side once you put it on. Now I've left a patch there because I'm going to have obviously a little bit of battle damage, and I don't want it underneath in the epoxy. So draw out on your model if you want with a Sharpie where your battle damage is, and as you can see, there's no epoxy underneath there. And it's called 5-minute epoxy for a reason. That's how long it takes to dry. And as you can see, it's falling into place perfectly. A little bit of slide there at the front. So as you can see, it's going together just fine. Just make sure that it's gonna fit all the way around. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this harden on the front half. In other words, this back half of the model, and just leave this flap here. Just gonna harden this up, let it gather its bonding effect on there. Put a little bit more epoxy underneath. Remember, we're dealing with something pretty fragile here, so just and to do a whole model is going to take you a day. Don't worry about it. It's hobby time. Make sure that you clean your slate, and then see how that 5-minute drying time comes into play? I can still shift. And as you guys can see, it's shifting perfectly. And there it basically is. And it's perfect. Make sure that all the edges are tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take, before it dries, so another couple of seconds, I'm going to just clean it up with rubbing alcohol around the corners. What you're going to need is a Q-tip and a little bit of alcohol. And just go along the edge here, like so. And that'll clean all your 5-minute epoxy that oozes out. Now I'm talking, when I say oozing out, I'm just talking minute little amount. But fortunately, rubbing alcohol is absolutely the answer for that. And you can see that seam is as clean as a whistle now. And then, like I say, moving forward, when you put your primer on top of this, and it's not going to be a lot of primer. I mean, this takes paint very well, but I'm going to primer up this top surface, and there might be a little bit of overspray. That primer may expose a little minute little crack where the Zimmern meets the tank. Don't worry about it. We'll get our Mr. Surfacer out, probably 1000, and just paint a line all the way around, and the Zimmern will be perfect. So there you are. So in a couple minutes, I will apply the 5-minute epoxy underneath this flap here, and then it should be as solid as can be. And there you are. There's another tip from our Box to the Battlefield class. And then next time when we're together, because I will continue to do this off camera, we'll talk about the shell hits that are going to be in this side. And what I'm going to do momentarily is lay out our little vignette for us. So Barbakan's got some brand new product that I'm going to show you, and show you the Jeep and what have you. So we'll do that just momentarily. So I will be back in about a minute or two. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll lay out our little vignette for you with the shell hits. And that's how I decided where the shell hits are going to be. I sort of planned out the vignette first. So anyway, we'll continue on in a moment. Thank you. Okay, so we've epoxied our attack Zimmern on, and like I say, the shell holes I'm going to show in this area of the tank based on the design of the vignette. Now I've temporarily borrowed a Jeep. This is the Tamiya Jeep. Tony Bell, one of our aircraft guys, painted this Jeep up. It's a fantastic looking Jeep, and but I'm using it temporarily just for a prop in design here. I'm going to use the new Alpine figure that's sitting in the Jeep, as you guys know. I'm going to put the photographer's name, or not the photographer's name, but the word photographer or press on the Jeep, and you know, basically design it that way. So this guy is here photographing this king tiger that's been knocked out. It's not going to be a combat setting. It's going to be more of the crew that has come a couple of days afterwards. So, and it's basically to follow the lines of our books that Dave and I have been studying, called The Forgotten Archives, Volume 1 and 2. And basically it's a tribute to those guys, the hard work that they did. I mean, once again, we talk about even going back to the American Civil War, where their first, maybe not the first, but certainly the early stages of photography in battlefields, right up to now. And here it is 75 years later. And myself and Dave and hundreds and thousands of other guys are, you know, replicating World War II on a little basis. So it's fascinating. It's neat to do. It's storytelling. So here's what we're doing, and I'm gonna put a couple of shell hits in here, possibly a couple down here. I'm not gonna use this as a target king tiger that possibly the American Army or Canadian or British Army pounded away at after it had been knocked out. This is simply going to be one or two hits. And Adam Wilder goes into depth on how to put in the shell hole hits. I'm going to study that this week, and then add a little bit of my own stuff. And I just want to mention too that Barbakan has brought out the new corner pieces, and I'm going to put that in this vignette too, because this vignette actually is used, and this base was painted last year in 2017 when we built the Panther. So I'm just sort of borrowing it. And as you guys know, Dave and I don't glue our models to our settings, simply because we like to use them at model shows as individual pieces. So they're never glued down, and therefore our Panther was here. It's temporarily been removed so that I can design this out, and I'm certainly going to use the new wall set. Barbakan has provided us with the proper street, and so I'm going to use all of these, putting this together in our scene. So like I say, I just want to mention, and this product is number 14005, and it's the brand new corner piece for 2018. And figure guys and tank guys, and it doesn't have to even be World War II. You can obviously use this in all kinds of eras of combat. So anyway, it's fantastic. It's on the same height-wise, it's on the same level as the previous ones. So you can easily put it together with some scenes that you've already maybe have purchased these two. So anyway, like I say, Barbakan has kept the heights the same and the theme the same. So easy to work with, great product, and the beautiful thing is too, this hydrocal is so rock hard that when you apply the paint to it, as you guys have watched over the last couple months, it doesn't absorb in, and then you wake up tomorrow and the paint has been absorbed into the wall set and it's now white again and all the dye has gone into the hydrocal. These are not very porous. These take the paint exactly how you apply them. So they're really, really excellent wall sets and products. So use those when you can. And so next week we'll put the shell holes in. Probably the Zimmern for the left-hand side will be applied, and we'll talk about the primers that would have been underneath that Zimmern and the proper colors to use. Mission Models has a great primer. I like using Tamiya XF colors, and there's some easy ways to achieve that, because Tamiya doesn't have an exact primer color, but using XF7 plus one of the browns, usually you can capture that pretty easily. So anyway, moving forward, looking forward to seeing you guys on Box to the Battlefield, and we'll talk to you shortly. Take care and thanks so much.